Okay, so spells and charms. A lot of people get all of this wrong. When you cast a spell and a charm or learn the art of spell casting, very often I find people will go and buy books like this. British Book of Spells and Charms, or maybe something like this. Or even a big book like this. What they get is they get a lot of nice little charms and spells to do, but there's always a component missing within the spell. Now, what I want to do with this course is really actually teach spellcasting. What I'm not going to give you is a bunch of formulas for you to go away and repeat. What I'm going to do is teach you, ideally, the principles behind how the spell works. So we're not going to be getting a load of ingredients and you having to go out and get those ingredients to cast this specific spell. What we're going to do is we're going to use real life spells and we're going to deconstruct them, and I'm going to explain how that works. Now, this course is designed to be done in order, starting with this video, video 1, episode 1 of the Thoth spell casting course. We'll probably call it something like that. So, okay, we want to learn spell casting. Now, spells require three things in which really to work effectively. They require the quote-unquote intention, which all that is what do you actually want the spell to do, so the goal, and more specifically, the journey. So for example, if I want some money, the goal is to get more money, but I also want to be thinking of how am I going to get that money? Is someone going to die and leave me that money? Am I bumping someone off to get an inheritance? Am I going to be finding that money on the side of the road? That sort of thing. So that's the journey and the goal. Intention, people call it. Probably a better idea is to call it the journey and goal. So that's number 1. 2, the bit that a lot of people forget and don't understand, energy. It requires energy to manifest things. If you are poor and you want money, it is because naturally you are poor. That is how the universe seems to be going. You seem to be a poor person in the world, okay? So what you're trying to do with your spell casting is reshape reality. If your current reality is that you're poor, it's gonna require change to make you rich. Now that change could come from you, but generally with spellcasting, we're not only going to be changing you from a psychological perspective, also magically changing the world so that things kind of line up for you. So that's an important, remember, journey and goal, what do you want and how are you going to get there? What's going to happen? How is it going to manifest? And then the energy, the power source, the battery behind that. Now, if you don't supply enough energy to that journey, that spell, is not going to manifest. Okay, so we need to understand the energy perspective. The third thing is time. I see a lot of problems when people cast for spells and they don't allot a time for that. Now, if you want to allot a time or you don't want a lot of time, I'm gonna land on the idea, or I come from the perspective as you should always be programming time into your spells. If you want to be rich for the rest of your life, then you should be saying you want to be rich for the rest of your life. If you want to curse an entire bloodline of a family, right, you should be doing that until the end of the world, until the end of human civilization, until the end of humanity. You shouldn't be saying, I'm just going to give this. You need to be actually thinking, even if you want something to go on forever and ever and ever, eventually the universe will end. So perhaps programming that into your spell will help solidify that kind of timeline. That might not make a huge amount of sense right now, but don't worry about it. Just be thinking in terms of the simply, well, if you want money, when do you want it? Do you want it in 50 years time from now, or do you want it right now? Well, you want it right now. So that means that if you're factoring into your spell, by the end of the week, I'm going to find a load of money on the side of the road. Your spell is going to be, the journey is, you're going to find a load of money and it's going to come to you by looking and you're going to find it on the side of the road, right? You need to apply energy to that in order to make that happen, a battery, a power source for that. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Now, when it comes to a lot of magical charm spells, that sort of thing, particularly in the chintzy books and YouTube videos, it will tell you to buy a load of ingredients and stuff like that. Now, yes, those ingredients technically not only help you visualize the spell and are symbolic, representational magic, or even sympathetic magic if you will, but they're also kind of little batteries and power sources. Now, I find that a lot of people make the mistake of not understanding what all of these little batteries do, so how to formulate their spells. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be using one method, and it's going to be ourselves. We're not going to be evoking any gods, goddesses. We're not going to be petitioning any spirits or angels or dead people or anything like that. We are not going to be using any herbal magic. We're not going to be using moon phases. We're not going to be using planetary magic. We're not going to be using anything. We are just going to be using the power innately built within us. Why are we going to do that? Well, two reasons. The first reason is, imagine the person that watching this is extremely poor and they don't want to have to go out and put a lot of effort into finding lots of materials. Yes, you could find all sorts of things around the house, but at the end of the day, what a lot of YouTubers and what a lot of books will tell you to do is, oh, go out and buy some roses for this love spell, or go out and buy a candle, or go and do this, go and do that. I want to start with the absolute simplest thing. Presumably, if you're watching this video and listening to me, I'm going to presume that you can at least talk and listen. You might not be able to see me, but you can talk and listen. Therefore, you should be able to do this kind of a spell. So, the second reason why we're starting off with just powering the spell ourselves is because what we are going to be able to do come the end of this course is to manifest bigger changes than we ourselves are capable of making happen. So, think of this super simply. If I say to you, how much energy is it going to take in order to make a person I don't like crash their car and die, okay? Baneful magic, not particularly nice magic. Whatever, that's ethics, that's outside of the scope of this video. It may require X amount of energy in order to make that happen. How do you know how much energy you have to put in? Are you going to be guessing and keep adding component after component after component, energy source after energy source, and hoping that it is enough to make that spell manifest? Or are you going to be able to sense and feel from experience and also psychically, okay, I know that this is going to require this amount of energy and I need to supply at least that amount of energy in order to make that happen. Also, where is that energy coming from? So with this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some super simple magic. It can't get a huge amount simpler than this. And we're going to be using ourselves. Now, some of you might disagree with me and some of you may feel like, oh, well, I need to add the other ingredients because I'm not powerful enough to do this spell on my own. I don't have the power. I need the help of an angel or something like that. Okay, this is the reason why we're doing it, because how do you know what you're actually personally capable of? Some people are innately more capable of others when it comes to spell casting. So what you need to do is you need to find what you are personally capable and being able to access the power within you first so that you can sense that and get that energy flowing, and then you can put that to the test and increase more and more and more complex, more powerful spells, but just using your energy, okay? So, think of it like this. This is a mundane example. If I asked you, what is the heaviest weight you can lift? And you say to me, I don't know, then how am I supposed to tell you what extra ingredients you need to add to a spell to make up for your weakness, your lack of strength? Similar in spell casting. If you don't know how much energy you're capable of producing, how are you going to know what extra you need, assuming you even need any extra in order to make that spell manifest, okay? So, if I said to you, or I said to someone else, are you capable of lifting 50 kilograms? Because lifting 50 kilograms is that box over there, and that box weighs 50 kilograms, and you want to put it on the shelf, and you're not capable of lifting 50 kilograms, then you're going to need help. You can lift it yourself partly, but you're going to need someone or something else to come and help you to put it on that shelf. If you're trying to manifest that car crash and you're capable of producing X amount of energy, but you're not capable of producing enough energy to make that car crash happen, then you're going to need to add other things. Now, this is a super simple charm that I'm going to teach you. I don't know where it comes from. I wrote it down in one of my books, and I got it from somewhere. I didn't think of it myself, but you should get the gist of it. What I'm going to teach you to do is draw on that energy just using words, okay? So, super simple spell is to get rid of a wart, so it's a healing spell. As this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away, okay? It doesn't have to rhyme. I stole that from a book somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where. Might have been that one actually, British Book of Charms and Spells, but don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. If you find a little rhyme, or if you decide to write your own rhyme or your own words, because remember we're using the power of words here in order to be your spell, the focal point of your spell, then you need to use those words as a vehicle for the energy to release, okay? What I see a lot of people do is they'll take some silly little spell like that and they'll just go, okay, right, I'm going to cast this spell with my magic book. As this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away. I've done it. Is it working? I don't know if it's working or not. Or another thing that I see in a little footnote in said book, it might say something along the lines of, this is a spell that you can say to get rid of warts, say it 9 times. As this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away. As this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away. As this bean wait a minute, have I done 2 or 3 or what? You spend more time counting how many times you've done it than actually bonding with the words. Now, how do these spells work? They work really simply. You produce the energy, the words of the spell program that energy, and the energy is released through the spoken word, okay? So the first step of this, if you want to do this spell, is literally going to be read it and understand the words, i.e. learn the bloody lines, learn the words. You shouldn't need to be able to pick up the book in order to say it. It should be implanted in the brain. If you're needing to pick up the book to read it, simply that is because you haven't bonded with the words. You don't know what the words are. You don't know enough. You haven't bonded enough with the words and the spell. And it shows because you don't even know what it is. You have to read it from a book. The more you concentrate on the book and what the words say, the less you're concentrating on the words and the manifestation and the bonding of the energy with that. So, as this bean shell rots away, it's talking about a bean shell. So what I'm going to do to this is I've decided to dry out a bean shell. This is a baked bean. Can you say it? Little baked bean. As this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away. Okay, so this is a spell to get rid of a wart. It's referencing a bean shell. So I've decided to go, I could have opened a can of beans in order to get a bean shell and dry it out, but actually I fancied KFC for lunch. So I went and got a KFC and got a side order of beans, which I don't really like. I took one of them and I tried it out, ready to do this spell. So as this bean shell rots away, so this bean shell is organic, it will eventually rot. It's biodegradable, okay? So what the spell is telling me, as this bean shell rots away, so my wart will go away. As this bean shell rots, my wart is gonna disappear, okay? So what does that mean to me? Well, that means that what I'm doing is I'm creating a link between this bean shell and the wart that I have, okay? How am I going to create the link? if I don't know how to create the link and I've never done it before and it's all super magical and all I've got is a bunch of words in front of me and a bean shell. Well, I'm going to teach you how to do that now, because this is the bit that the books don't tell you. So what you're going to do is, after you've learnt your lines and you understand the principle of the spell, what's happening, sympathetic magic, the bean is symbolic of my wort. As it decays, so my wort will decay. Okay? Away, okay? I think I did a little rhyme there. Right, so I can put down the book. As this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. I'm thinking about the words. I've learnt the words now. I know how the spell's kind of are supposed to happen. I know the symbology behind it. But what I want to do is I want to focus on little bits of it. I want to be getting the little bean shell. And I might want to hold it. Do I want to look at it? Do I not want to look at it? That's entirely up to you, okay? I'm going to assume that I'm going to actually look at it. I'm looking at the bean and I'm actually telling it, as this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. I'm not hoping that this is going to happen. I'm not unsure whether this is going to work. I'm telling it that it will work. You'll notice with the words of the spell, it literally uses words such as will. It will happen. It might happen. It won't potentially happen. As this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. It's going away. You're telling it that as it goes, it is going to take that wort with you. Now, this is the technique that you need to do. Very often, spell work, whether it's spoken spell work or whether it's using ingredients, the spell should feel like it's essentially driving and pulling itself. So you shouldn't be feeling so much like you're pushing all of these ingredients together, that you're saying the words. You should feel that the words are pulling you. If you're adding different components to a spell, you shouldn't feel like you're grabbing that thing and forcing it in. You should feel like your hands and such, that the ingredients want to get in on the action. So how does that translate to this spell? You're going to keep saying it. I don't want you to give a specific number of times that you're going to say it, but I want you to start saying it very slowly and start building the idea of exactly what this is going to do. As this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. The more confident I get with the words, then you'll start to feel it. You're feeling the words in here. When you're speaking words like I'm speaking now, it's not really coming from the heart. I'm just using basic communication. When we do spell work, it's more than just basic communication. We need to feel an emotion, an energy there that is behind the words. As I'm speaking now, I must speak in passionately. It's coming from here, it's not coming from here. It's just exiting here. So, as I do this, I'm going to increase the passion, because the core of passion, very often a lot of magical spells and such can be powered by emotion. If you're going to hex and car crash and something like that, you might use the driving force of that to be hatred. Hatred is an emotion. Hatred carries a lot of passion and energy. You're transmuting that energy into that car crash spell. This, I don't necessarily have an emotion though, do I? So what I'm using is I'm using my understanding, my brain of the spell, and pulling some sort of energy that's going to manifest through that. So I'm going to start doing it slowly. As this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. As this bean shell rots away, so my wort will go away. More confident I get, the more I feel invested in the spell. The more I know this spell is going to work, the more I feel the connection here with the bean, with the spell. It's not just words anymore, it's a magic. To the point where you should, at that point, be, the words just seem to be overflowing out of you. So you're going to go from as this wort shall go up, as this wort rots away, so my wort will go away, to the point of you're actually saying and you're feeling it here. As this being shell rots away, so my wort will go away. As this being shell rots away, so my wort will go away. As this being shell rots away, so my wort will go away. There's passion coming. That passion is energy. That energy is being linked to this being, okay? The passion, the voice, and the passion is a vehicle for this energy here to escape and be linked to that being. So go away and try this. You don't have to do this charm, but what I would do if I was doing this charm is when I'd bonded with this, the point where I'm shouting and I feel like, yes, this is really linked now, I can really feel it, I'm gonna stop at that point that I feel like, right, I've done it, it's happening. And I'm going to go and take this being shell, and what am I going to do with it? Well, as this being shell rots away, well, I'm going to go and throw it in the compost heap, or I'm going to go and chuck it on a crossroads, or I'm going to go and stick it somewhere where it can rot away that's far away from me. And as it rots, guess what the spell's going to make it do? It's going to make the water disappear, okay? So that's the basics, that's super simple, okay? So you can go away and do that. Now what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about why magic spells of this type don't work for most people. And ultimately it's going down to that little kind of triangle of time, energy, and then the journey / manifestation, what's happening. If one of those things is missing, then your spell is not going to work. If I don't have the time frame for this being spell, of course, is the fact that it takes X amount of time for this being shell to disappear. As the being shell goes, my wort's going to go. So the time factor in this spell is very much linked to the mundane world, the physical world of this being shell actually, you know, disappearing and rotting away. If I don't have that, if I was doing a money spell or something like that, then I need to make sure if there's not something that's rotten away and there isn't a natural time scale for this, I need to program that into my spell. Now, when it comes to the energy perspective, you can go, say you went to a rock concert or something like that, you can feel the palpable energy in the room. Well, or even some churches and stuff like that, you may be able to feel that, but nothing really manifests, does it? There's energy there, but there's no journey, there's no time, there's no intention, there's no, you know? So when it comes to passion, if there's no program that passion is, because that passion's energy, that passionate energy is being a battery for, then there is no spell, okay? One of the interesting things that you can do, which we will teach you as time goes on in this course, is to take the energy that other people are manifesting and apply the intention and apply the journey to it. If you were a band, okay, you had a band and you did a concert, all of your adoring screaming fans that are saying all of these words and stuff, they're not necessarily applying, they might be speaking the words, much like the amateur witch reads the book and doesn't really make anything manifest because they don't know how to create that connection between the words and the actual spell and such, and have the words be a vehicle. They don't know that. These screaming and adoring fans at your rock concert are building energy. You can feel it in the room, there's a buzz, but nothing is happening with it. It's like a hot air balloon. It's going up, and then unless you decide to do something with it, it will deflate again. If you were an unscrupulous occultist rock star, like some of them actually are, you could take that energy and do with it what you want. I've seen this happen quite a lot of times. There are people out there that use these kind of techniques. They will write a song which is actually a spell. They'll get loads of people to sing that spell at them at a concert, and they'll take that energy, they'll add their own to it, and they'll make manifest what that spell's designed to manifest. Sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's bad things. Now let's take this a step at a time. So you've learned a little bit about this technique of using words as a vehicle. Go out and find a spell and start doing that. Once you've done that, go on to the next video. These videos should be coming out once a week. They may already be all out, I don't know, because if they are, then you're listening to me in the future. So, you know. But these techniques are going to be built upon. So don't skip any of the videos, start with this one, And then once you've mastered this, once you've done a couple of spells with the spoken word as a vehicle, once you've found your block of, okay, I can manifest up to this, and now I'm stuck, then we'll start to add other energies into that. We'll also start developing your own personal energies as well. Because of course, much like you could go to a gym to train to lift that 50 kilo weight that you can't currently, you're not going to do it straight off the ball. So this is a technique that the more you do, the more you can raise energy within inside of you and then release it, the more capable you're going to be, the more complex, I wouldn't say complex, the more powerful spells you can cast. But we're starting with your natural ability, which is this. We're going to find that out and you're going to start experimenting. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to start adding other energies into the plex. So once you've done that, move on to the next video, and I think that's it from today.